Well, this is where we're going to be exploring this morning. This is Fitzgerald Lake. 800 acres of conservation land. And we're going to be birding this morning. You can hear the birds in the background. It's about 7 in the morning. And we should have some good scenes today.
Again, many of you may already know Mike Locker from Hampshire Bird Club. You're the field trip organizer, is that what they call you? And longtime birder in this area, and he is going to take us away.
Yep, so my name is Mike Locker. If you have any questions about any birds in particular, but I know a few wildflowers, I know a few insects and amphibians, so if you have any questions about any of that, feel free to ask me. There are also a number of other very experienced birders on the trip. I recognize quite a few of you, but feel free to ask me if you hear something. If you haven't seen a bird that I mentioned, and you want to see it, let me know so that I can try to point it out to everybody. This is a really, really great time of year to go birding, particularly for small birds like warblers, which is kind of a focus for a trip like this. This will be prime time, and the warblers have really started to come in. Small numbers right now. I'm a little surprised with the warmth of the spring that we don't have a few more of the neotropical migrants, but nonetheless, they are here in small numbers. I heard that just yesterday somebody heard a black-throated green warbler, so as we go down the trail here, listen for a little zoo, 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 sort of a buzzy song from the woods. And one other bird that I'm hearing right now that would be a great one to see is a swamp sparrow, which is calling from over here in the marsh. It's a very, very slow trill. There's a... cue it up? No, it's not there right now. There's a faster trill over here, a chipping sparrow, which is very metallic, very rapid. But the swamp sparrow has a much slower, lazier trill to it. It's a very pretty sparrow. Anybody know what that sound we're hearing right now is?
Pine warbler, you hear?
It's very high-pitched, brown-headed cowbird, which is a nest parasite. So they don't create their own nests, they lay their eggs in the nests of other birds, including a number of endangered birds that we have around here, and then they abandon that, and their eggs tend to hatch first, and they will push the other nestlings out, and so a yellow warbler will be raising a brown-headed cowbird for the next generation. They've really spread a lot. They used to be tied to the Great Plains, basically, where herds of buffalo, bison would roam. That's how they got the name cowbird, and since they were always following the herds, feeding on whatever the herds would pick up, they couldn't stop and build a nest and sit there for a month and a half while their young fledged and actually became self-sufficient. So they would just lay their eggs in other birds' nests and move along with the herd, which is how they got their interesting habits. All right, let's head on down the trail and see what we can find. There's a call with 3 sort of down-slurred notes. Cheer, 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 and then kind of a jumble. I think that's a Louisiana water thrush, which like to be frequently along faster-moving streams.
Yeah.
There goes a nice red-winged blackbird displaying with his shoulders.
These boxes out here were put in by some state agency which has never really been able to track down for wood ducks.
There's a red-winged blackbird in the scope if anyone wants to have a look.
As far as I know, no wood duck has ever used these houses.
I know there's a wood duck and a wood duck box.
Yeah, these were all designed for wood ducks.
Oh yeah, there's something sitting in the very top.
I think it's another red-winged blackbird.
Well,
It's a
I'm not
twig.
quite sure. I think they like more secluded areas.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They are, yeah. There are a lot of people.
Did he fly away?
Launching boats here for
Fly away,
fishing.
Yeah.
He's scared. You scared? I did. Oh my God. Your fault.
Forward to find
There are trees to the right of the pond.
The two chickadees are up here in the top of the pine tree and the little deciduous tree to the right. The two black-capped chickadees. They're the ones who are making the two-noted song. Drumming, just a very, very rapid series of taps on a tree, and that is their song. That is their mating song. They don't have much in the way. They have some calls, sort of a trill typically of some variety, but that's how they attract mates. They find a good branch that's old and dry and makes a big noise, and they will tap on it. There's some people who could actually tell you what kind of woodpecker that is based on the drumming, and I can't. With the exception of sapsuckers, which have a very distinctive syncopated pattern, I can't really tell the difference between the tapping of our woodpeckers, but they're out there looking for mates just like all the other birds. There's a song sparrow down here, and there's a song sparrow singing right over there.
Yes.
They often like wet areas like this, but song sparrows can be found anywhere. So if you come over where I am and look down toward the slightly greener reeds on the edge, the song sparrow's been kind of hopping in and out of there. He's disappeared into the thicker underbrush at this point.
This is what we saw yesterday.
Yeah?
Exactly. We had some
Very
whoop.
wary, boy. As soon as they see you, they're, you know.
You can hear the song sparrow's song
Yeah.
coming from down here.
Yeah.
They bob their tails as they fly, so it sort of gives them a sporting motion as they go through the air.
No, it was like rain.
There's another Canada goose in the water up there, but I don't see anything else on the water. One Canada goose. Here's a song sparrow. Oh, there was a song
It
sparrow.
was.
That's typical, you know.
Yeah. Look. Oh.
He says they bob. They bob. They're here. And they're flying.
Three more song sparrows.
All the things that project out of the water were totally covered with turtles yesterday. Like
Oh,
dozens.
yeah, they were everywhere. Hundreds of them
Yeah,
in the sun.
you know, I guess
Actually-
the lack of sun was.
Ashley Pond, Ashley Reservoir,
They were all over there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
this whole inlet. I don't know, what do they all eat? Where they, just,
I was at Hadley Cove 2 days ago, and the water really has gone down. And I saw one painted turtle on the back of a big snapping turtle. And he probably sat on this thing and thought, oh, I'll just rest here. And then thought, oh no. Now I can't move.
Wow.
It's a hermit thrush. The colors are really muted.
Yeah.
But if you look at the tail is a slightly different color than the rest of the bird.
Yeah.
Is the yellow-bellied sapsucker a kind of woodpecker?
It's a woodpecker.
Okay, I've always wondered about that.
Yep. Yeah, and some of them will actually drill holes in trees so that the sap will leak into those holes and then they'll feed on the insects.
That is smart.
Our eastern sapsuckers don't tend to do it as much as the western ones do. See if I can find it.
They leave holes in the road. Perfect road.
Right, yeah, so certain kinds of trees, like apple trees, you'll see very, very orderly set of holes drilled there. So, these are the sapsucker.
No, it's okay, Mike.
So what I saw was a female. It didn't have any red on the head. Much browner looking than a downy.
Yeah, sure. I believe that.
Which is right here.
So what are the common ones we have here?
Downy is by far the most
Yep,
common.
and the red ones
A
are-
hairy woodpecker, slightly larger but looks very much the same.
And then the red,
A red-bellied woodpecker
Okay.
is
is that common?
becoming
here?
increasingly common.
That's one I see almost every day.
Yeah.
You did.
Red-headed, there are a couple of red-headed now in Springfield. All right, the sapsucker is up here in this tree. The shaggy bark tree right in front of me, if you go on the first main right-hand branch and follow it up, he is banging on a branch up there. So just go up that branch and look for some sort of movement. Now he's slow, he's not doing anything.
No, he said.
Yes.
Yep. But if you look at it, it's a much browner looking bird, more sort of speckly and streaky looking than downy woodpecker. That's a yellow-bellied sapsucker. Yep. And for those of you who don't like the fact that red-bellied sapsuckers are called, or red-bellied woodpeckers are called red-bellied woodpeckers, you'll really dislike that these are called yellow-bellied sapsuckers. Is there anybody who hasn't found the sapsucker?
Yeah, me. I still can't find it.
I got him.
To the right, 2 branches to the right. The next branch going up to the right, which my laser can't
Yeah, it's
quite
very
find,
visible right now.
Oh God, it's killing my neck
on
to look
that
up there.
branch. It's coming out at about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
I followed those directions. I saw the green light, and I cannot
Lower
find that
branches
bird.
of pine
And
trees.
it's like almost
Oh yeah,
very
now
tall.
I got him. I
Yeah.
wasn't quite far enough
Yeah.
out.
Over on this tree.
Is the other one still over here?
Could be, I'm not sure. So
Yeah, I got it.
there's a tree right down this direction.
Oh, yeah. You see this
And
flew.
pretty high. Yep. It's a little warbler. It's like a zebra of a warbler. Black and white streaks on it. Tends to feed along the trunk of a tree and along the larger branches of a tree, which is fairly unusual. Most warblers tend to be out in the leaves.
Actually, I see that. He never stays still. So that's the song.
Yeah, that just, it seems like a slightly unusual song. Yeah. A lot of people compare the song of the black and white to sort of a squeaky wheel going around.
Exactly, yeah.
This one's got sort of a rising quality to it. It's kind of unusual. There are at least two of them in the area. There's one singing, there's a second one on a tree over here, and there was one over in this direction as well. So sort of scan for movement. They're moving fairly quickly, but scan for movement and see if you can get your binoculars on one.
Raising a ruckus.
Palm warbler. If anybody wants to see an easier warbler on the neck, there's a palm warbler over here. Down. Two of them actually. So down here in this little muddy area, if you look down in the grass between the mud and the tree that's just to the left of the mud, there are two palm warblers. That's probably one of them that just flicked across.
There's one in the bush right in
Yep,
front
and
of us.
there's one in the bush right in front of us. They've got a rusty cap, and they incessantly bob their tail. Oh no. There's one that's way out on the mud. There's another one that's up in a small bush near the edge. Anyone not seeing the palm warblers?
Yeah.
Anyone wants to look at it in the book just to compare what they were seeing?
Oh yeah.
Palm warbler has that rusty cap, and they bob that tail constantly. At least 4 palm warblers. There's another one across the way.
Yeah, the yellow-bellied saxon.
Warbler back there now. Large pine tree in this direction, fairly low in the branches. It's hopping around just to the left of the main trunk. Boy. I don't even want to try to estimate how far up. A robin just flew in just above where the yellow-rumped warbler is. Yes, very close to the trunk. Yeah, now he's behind a branch for me, right in the middle of the trunk.
Oh, and I see the black and white warbler on the trunk.
Do you? Okay. That sounded like a gnatcatcher.
Got really high.
Yeah, I think right above us, tiny bird, right above me,
Oh yeah.
there's a blue-gray gnatcatcher. Now it's just flew, slightly better angle, beside the trail. It's a light gray bird, very long tail, and a peevish little song.
There's another woodpecker. Yeah, that's the Paraceps.
Actually, it looks like
There's
it's
3
trying to get some spider webs, maybe for nesting material. Keeps flying up to that spider web, and I think it's actually stealing material for a nest.
Where is it now, Mike?
It flew off to the left. I lost it.
Gonna get lost in the sun now.
Yeah. One blue-gray gnatcatcher.
Wow, they're really active.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I've seen them enlarging a hole in one of those trees back there, so I think they're nesting at least a pair. There may be more.
Yeah, Blaze saw a hole back there too.
Yeah. There was a pileated woodpecker deep in the woods there. I just heard it one time and it was quite distant. And this sounds like another gnatcatcher. Just here.
I wouldn't have.
It's not much to listen to.
Maybe around 1990, 1995, I think there's a lot of work down the trail. But these are a little bit irregular. I remember working on another trail a few years ago, going off to the woods, finding stones, and putting them down. But these almost look like they're like a natural arrangement.
But
Yeah,
that,
in
there's a
some
trail
areas,
there
like-
that's obviously
Yeah.
laid.
I think
somebody's filled them in.
Yeah, other places
Yeah.
that's clearly been laid.
Yeah.
Man, that trail looks older than the 1990s to me.
It could be. Don't forget, the city actually acquired this property in the.
I think we should move more quickly.
I think in the 1970s when Harold Fitzgerald was going to put own this land. He put the dam in, and he was going to sell lakeside lots, so people could have lovely lakeside homes. And then the Wetlands, Federal Wetlands Acts in the early 1970s made that impossible for it. And I forget whether he sold it to the city at that point or a little bit later, but that was the first preserved section. It was about 140 acres around the lake.
Now it's almost up to 900.
Almost, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's moved down the trail. I think I hear another.
What is that loud one?
It's a blue jay.
Oh, it's just a blue jay? Oh,
Yep.
Just a blue jay.
Oh, really?
On the opposite side.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, that's the first of the year here. Cormorant down here.
Oh, really?
Oh. I think that's a sapsucker because of that syncopated tapping. It's a really loud sapsucker. One sapsucker, one song sparrow.
Oh, is that Cook's Meadow down in there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, we're looking at the big beaver marsh that's been created there.
Are they still around?
The beavers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very definitely.
This structure, this wire cage that you see over here at the, was put in to foil the beavers. It's taken quite a bit of work to actually foil them, although they seem to have stopped at least now.
The lake level has remained normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wire cage didn't go down far enough, and the beavers were able to get in underneath it.
Wow.
So last summer, by hand, we put 10 tons of trap rock all the way around the perimeter of that wire cage, so we got trap rock piled like that. And it seems to have worked.
You get all wet?
They haven't figured out how to do that.
How did you get the trap rock down this far?
It was brought in by truck. It was initially 20 tons.
Let's go.
But we only needed to use 10 tons.
Okay.
They dumped it all right there. Right by the, you can still see a little bit of it right by the drain, but it's healed pretty much. Looked pretty awful after we got done.
Yeah, they're active all through this waterway, the water course. Yeah.
Down throughout the swamp, there's a real beaver. What should I call it? Many, many households. And it's funny, there was one great big lodge that was active for a while, and then that was completely torn down. And they built other ones further downstream.
Torn down by themselves.
It's a mystery.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
well,
presumably by themselves.
I've heard of other predators trying to take apart beaver domes to get at them.
I mean, it could have, the water level had dropped, and it would have been more accessible, and I wonder if coyotes could have been industrial to pull apart a